Did I miss something? I did. I missed something. All right, it is finally time for us to recap House of Dragon episode 2, Rhaenyra the Cruel. Episode 2 opens with the chaos and aftermath of the prince's death. Aegon is having a fit. Lucky he's just tearing up his war room. If it was me, Dracarys. Otto is attempting to keep Alicent strong as she is falling apart over the pain caused to her daughter. Alicent seems to admit that she lied to usurp the throne when she asks if this is her punishment from the gods. Yeah, bitch, it probably is. Had you and your power-hungry daddy not switched the shit up at the last moment and just let the king's wishes be what they were, none of this would be happening. I get that she was afraid Rhaenyra would kill her sons, but just get them up out of there like any normal dysfunctional royal family. Aegon confronts Sir Criston about where he was when his son was killed. Oh my god, I hope he finds out one day. Please, Lord, help him find out the truth. Sir Criston says he was abed, sending Aegon into even more of a rage. Aegon moves on to point the finger at his mother when Larys steps in to announce that they have apprehended a gold cloak fleeing from the castle with the child's head. Aegon wants to kill him immediately, but his advisors recommend getting info from him first so they can figure out if this was actually Rhaenyra or one of their own. Otto agrees, but wants to blame Rhaenyra regardless, so they can destroy her claim to the throne by painting her as a baby killer. He wants the baby, his mother and grandmother paraded through the town to put on a show of sorrow. It's the worst idea I've ever heard. Helaena is way too fragile for this, but they forced that poor girl to do it anyway. Larys goes to interrogate the guard they captured, but he immediately tells them everything. Who hired him, who he worked with. He asks if they're going to hurt him, and Larys says no, but he cannot speak for the king. Aegon emerges and gets right to work on that fool. You know, I really grew to love Aegon a little bit in this episode. During this spectacle with Jaehaerys, the carriage he's in gets stuck in a puddle and the townspeople close in on them, causing Helaena to freak out, as Alicent does what she can to calm her. Rhaenyra receives word about Jaehaerys and the fact that she's being blamed for it, and one of her own, Sir Alfred, low-key believes it. While Rhaenyra is defending herself and also feeling empathetic towards Helaena, she notices Daemon looking a little smug. In the next scene, when she's alone with Daemon, she confronts him about it, to which he admits to sending assassins to kill Aemon, but he won't admit to giving them orders outside of that. Rhaenyra is rightfully upset and decides she can no longer trust Daemon, not like she ever did entirely. He has basically weakened her claim to the throne and the trust of her own people who believed she ordered this killing. Daemon admits he sees himself as the stronger brother and feels he was held back out of fear of his greatness. Rhaenyra sends her step-daughter-in-law, Baela, to surveil King's Landing with her dragon moon dancer, which sounds like a My Little Pony name. I'm not trembling in fear of a moon dancer. Yeah. Anyway, Daemon flies off to God knows where for what reason. I don't want to give any book spoilers away, and I haven't gotten through enough to really do so anyway, but I do know that Rhaenyra finally gets something that she wants, but it doesn't last long, and I think it's gonna be Daemon's fault. He doesn't care about anyone. None of his wives, his siblings, his kids, no one. He a little scary. Sir Criston, being the bitch-made fuckboy we've all known him to be, decides to pull up on Sir Eric and press him about his cloak being a little dirty. Then he completely flips the script, blaming him for not being around when the baby was attacked. Sir Eric is guard to the king and was entirely doing his job that night, while Sir Criston, who is supposed to be the guard of the queen, was up in her mama's guts instead of doing his job. And Sir Eric does clap back at him, saying pretty much the same thing. Should've knocked his fucking head off. Sir Criston is successfully able to gaslight Sir Eric into traveling to Dragonstone to kill Rhaenyra by impersonating his twin brother. This is just the dumbest plan ever. All of these men are just so dumb. The only men with any sense are up in the north, seems like. We get to see a scene between Baela and Jacaerys. These two don't have any chemistry at all. Such a bore to watch, but they talk about their daddy issues. Baela hates hers, and Jacaerys was blessed to have two that were actually really kind to him. Then we see Aemon in a fetal position, laid up with a working girl. Shout out to all the sex workers who have to play the role of the nurturing mom and then turn around and give these dudes coochie. Okay? That takes real talent, and you deserve, sisters. You deserve. He talks to her about feeling proud that they fear him enough to attack him while he's asleep, and also that he regrets what happens with Viserys. We all saw that he lost control of Vhagar that day. He just wanted to scare Luke, but Vhagar wanted to eat him. Side note, is Vhagar Arax's mama? Did she eat her own child or no? In the next scene, we see that blacksmith that asked Aegon for an advance. At home with his family, he has a sick daughter that doesn't look to be doing too well, and his wife is asking him about the money the king promised. I'm guessing this little storyline will play a bigger part at some point. Then we see Alan of Hall once again. He was in episode 1, but I didn't mention him. He had an awkward moment with Corlys, is that his name? Who thanked him for saving his life. Their interaction gave me and the DNA test to determine you are the father vibes. And now his interaction with his brother, Adam, definitely gives that's they daddy. The emphasis Adam puts on proving their worth to Corlys and him saying that Corlys owes them. He for sure know they mama intimately. Corlys and Rhaenys lay in bed together discussing Daemon and what he's up to. Corlys questions if she thinks Daemon will challenge Rhaenyra for the throne. And if I can take that question, most definitely. That's the only reason he married her. He can't wait to kill her and be king. It is taking every bit of self-control I have not to Google it. Mysaria is brought to Rhaenyra, and she admits to giving Daemon the names of a couple of men who hate the Hightowers in exchange for her freedom. Rhaenyra recognizes her as Daemon's old lover, and they have a back and forth over letting her go free. In the next scene, we see a bunch of rat catchers hanging in the town square. Aemon, the psychopath, lynched all the rat catchers because he killed the other guy before simply having him ID the actual rat catcher that helped him. Otto is pissed and lays in on his grandson in front of Sir Criston, who tries to puff out his chest, but Otto checks both of them. They just paraded Jacaerys in front of these people to garner sympathy, and now Aegon has undone all of that with this brutal and unnecessary act. They tell him about Sir Criston's plan with Sir Eric, thinking they sound super brilliant, but he calls them trifling. Otto turns to Aegon and says Viserys was right about him. When Aegon claps back, claiming his father made him king, Otto laughs in his face because he knows that ain't true. Aegon fires his granddaddy as his hand and makes Sir Criston, the literal fuckboy, his new hand. Rhaenyra, having a soft heart moment, decides to release Mysaria, who spots Sir Eric as she's being escorted to a ship. Sir Eric gets to the castle and is let in because they think he's his twin, the other Sir Eric. They have the same name, it's just spelled differently. Now, how was this not discussed? I am the personal guard of the queen herself, and I have an identical twin with the same damn name who fights for our enemies. There should definitely be some safeguards in place to prevent any type of trickery. I mean, does that make sense? I feel like in real life this would have been taken into consideration from jump. Anyway, he walks right in, real comfortable, and follows his brother to Rhaenyra's room. Eric tells the guard standing watch outside of her room that he'll take over that duty before barging into her room. Confused as to why this man is in her room, Rhaenyra calls out his name as he pulls his sword, apologizing and saying he had no choice. Just then, the other Sir Eric comes in, sword drawn, to confront his twin. Why Rhaenyra and her little maid, or whatever, didn't run for the door while the twins fought is beyond me. And where are the other guards at? King's Landing and Dragonstone need to step up their security because it's just a little too easy for folks to slip in and out of there. Sir Laurent eventually runs in to protect the queen. He wants to help Sir Eric, but he can't tell which is which. Eventually, one of the Erics, we don't know which one, gets the upper hand, fatally stabbing his brother, then turns the sword on himself, dying with his twin. This scene messed me up. These poor boys pledged their blind loyalty to these greedy, disgusting royals who used them as tools, and their confusion on who to stand with caused them to turn on each other, even though they loved each other deeply. Something they said while fighting to the death. They came into this life together and now they've left together. Otto decides he needs to dip out, which I agree. Aegon might get the right mind to kill him for what he said. Alicent tries to confess her sins to her father, but he tells her to keep it to herself, child. He don't give a damn. Things are not going his way and he needs to figure his life out, and if any of y'all benefit him at this point. Alicent walks in on Aegon crying, and I just knew she was going to console her son, but no, she slinks right on out of there before he can even notice her. Very, very strange. You want your son to listen to you and see you as a guide, and you turn your back on him while he's in a vulnerable state? They really act like his son didn't just get decapitated. Alicent goes and slaps Sir Criston around before they end up in bed again, and that's how this episode ends. No one is learning any lessons except maybe Rhaenyra, I guess. She learned that she 100% for sure cannot trust Daemon. And I'm not crazy for growing a soft spot for Aegon. Not like he's a good person. He's terrible. But I love his character. He's so fun to watch this time around. And he's just a pawn that got out of control. He was never meant to be king. He never wanted to be king. He's clearly too young and unhinged to be put in the position he's been put in. And now the people who put him there want to wash their hands of him and make it seem like he's just crazy. You already knew that. You just thought he was the type of crazy you could control, which throws me. Because how did you think that? I was in distress for Rhaenyra this episode. Daemon really shattered her reputation. Her own people believe she had that child killed. She would be able to get away with saying it was a setup by Team Green if it weren't for the victim being Jaehaerys. No one would believe the king or anyone in his court would kill his heir just to destabilize her claim. In truth, it was her. She wasn't aware, but the order came from Team Black, and there's just no escaping that, unfortunately. Anyway, what do you all think? Do you think Rhaenyra's supporters are going to turn on her? Anyone else enjoying Aegon's character development? What do you think is going to happen now that Otto is gone and Sir Criston is the new hand? Leave all your thoughts below, and that's all I got for you this time. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.